Good morning, everybody. How are you? The devilishly handsome Ian Dixon. Good morning, sir.
Shut up, for f***'s sake. Jesus.
Good morning. Oh, look at that. Let me tidy up in here. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the Short Wise Up Rise Up Show with me, your host, Danny Wallace. I hope you're feeling good. I am feeling resplendent in pink today. I've had a bit of a pink week this week. I've been hanging out with my friend Jojo Smith, who just got back from New York with her beautiful daughter, Jess, and my cousin, Sarah Stone, who is now in the UK for a few days, before we head off to Scotland for a few days. I am so excited, you lot. Honestly, I know a lot of you have been in my inbox and been kind of Danny, we're a bit worried about you. You need a break, you need a holiday. Well, this weekend it's my sister's, we're celebrating my sister Gemma, her 40th birthday. And tonight, I get all of my cousins in the room together for the first time in just under 20 years. And it's been a real road. It's been a real journey to get to that point. It's been a real, it's been heartbreaking in some respects because a lot of us have missed a lot of time together. So what happened when my grandma died? A lot of you know my story if you've not come across me before. When I was growing up, so we grew up in a relatively poor area in Preston. My mum had lots of siblings. Those siblings had lots of kids. And because my mum's brothers and sisters in some way, shape or form had troubles, then the kids would often come and stay with us or live with us. So me and my sister actually had a real wide set of siblings, like additional siblings that would kind of come and go and come and live with us and what have you. And I think that set us up in such good stead to welcome people into our lives and to love on people the way that we do. And I think that even though it was quite chaotic the way that we grew up, it was still wrapped up in a lot of love. And my cousins I desperately love. And what happened when my grandma died, my mum's mum, is that the siblings kind of fractured. And it was really awful, which meant that my cousins obviously had loyalties to their parents, and it meant that my sister and I kind of got left a bit by the wayside. So we had all of these cousins that would come and live with us like siblings, and then all of a sudden we're not allowed to have contact, or I'm not allowed to have contact. And so what I did is I just lightly held on to everybody until enough healing had taken place for people to start kind of gravitating back towards each other, and me to be able to facilitate those conversations and to start kind of gathering my cousins back together. So for the first time in almost 20 years now, I'll get emotional. I'll get them all in a room and I get to hug all of them and squeeze all of them. And I can't tell you how excited I am about this weekend. It is so exciting. So as soon as I finish the show today, that's me. The car is packed. One of my best friends is coming down from Barrow to go back up with me. We're going to spend some time in the car together and catch up. It's just, I get the kind of rest that for me is social and family rest, being around the people that know me the most. So I have to do the least. I don't have to be Danny Wallace when I'm with my friends and family. You know, I can kind of just turn the volume all the way down and just be. And it isn't going to be just being. I think it's going to get a bit messy at some point. I know there's going to be lots of hugs and lots of tears. But yeah, very, very excited about this weekend. So huge shout out to all of my incredible family and friends that are going to be coming together to celebrate my wonderful sister Gemma this weekend. We've got lots of lovely things planned. Okay, so I want to know, so that's what I'm celebrating today, is getting to the end of this week. I'm celebrating my phenomenal team who, in my absence over the next sort of 4 or 5 days, are going to have my back. Wallace, he's got the kids. Dan and Anna are heading up things on a business side of things. I've got Beth and Kat who are doing all the marketing in the background for me. I've got Mike who's looking after my socials. So I'm at a point now where I really feel like I can step off to just have a bit of a breathe. And often this time of year, I feel things speeding up. So I feel things winding down from a business sense, but I feel things speed up from a family sense. So I look at Christmas, and Christmas is my favorite time of year. For those of you that have been following the show for a few years now, will know that just by my desk, I have an abundance of Christmas material. I have an abundance of Christmas jumpers. I get very, very excited about Christmas. Christmas Day isn't my favorite day. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Christmas Eve is my favorite day. But I think what a lot of us do, well, in the social media space, when we're parents, when we're caregivers of kids, particularly, is there's a lot of pressure on us to deliver everything for everybody, and sometimes negating ourselves. And to talk to us about that this morning is a very relatively new friend of mine, but we're going to be working really closely together over the next 6 months because this guest is going to be speaking at Be Inspired. She is part of our current Be Inspired mastermind. I cannot wait for you to meet her. She is a little bit nervous this morning, so we're going to be super nice and make sure you're talking to us and chucking us loads of questions and give her loads of support. Please welcome Clare Deacon. Good morning.
Morning. Hello.
How are you doing? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
You're not nervous at all, babes, are you not?
No, I'm not. I'm super.
She's so
super
chill.
confident.
So, Clare, welcome to the show, Wise Up, Rise Up show. On YouTube right now, just so you know, let's break the ice. We've got somebody posting, there's a new adult dating chat free, just in case anybody wants to know. I'm just going to block that user so it's not distracting to me. It's 18 Sexy XYZ. If anybody wants to know where the adult chat is, that's where it is over on YouTube.
I'll just make a note.
Oh Lord, the things that happen out in the streaming world. Right, Clare, let's talk about you, my angel. Tell us a little bit more about you and what you do.
So I'm a positive psychology coach and therapist. So I specialize in post-traumatic growth and recovery. Yeah. So I take people through a journey of recovery, reconnecting with who they are, finding out where their inner strength is and taking them forward so that they can really thrive in life. So that's what that's all about and the process that we go through. So
amazing. So Happier is called, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I love a play on words, but what brought you to Happier? What brought you to spelling it like that? What brought it to what brought the word about?
Okay. So really it's about my own personal journey. So I grew up in a household where there was domestic violence, and I had to hide from that and hide from everything that I was experiencing and all of those emotions and pretend I was okay and everything I was going through wasn't really happening to the outside world through fear. Mm-hmm. And I lived my life in that way, showing up as a version of myself that I felt was acceptable. And over the years, as it progressed and I had stability and more control in my life, so, you know, I had my own home, I had my husband, my children, I got more control over that, and I began to get more unhappy with who I was. I wanted to have this connection, but I never really prioritized it. Mm-hmm. And then in 2016, my husband passed away of a heart attack unexpectedly. And obviously my world was just shattered. Mm-hmm. So there I was, 3 young children. I had twins. They just turned 5 and my eldest was 8. And I was at ground zero and I was like, I need to fight again. But this time in fighting, I needed to do something more. It wasn't enough that I was just going to survive and get by. If I was going to live my life, I needed to live it to the max. Yeah. My husband doesn't have the privilege that we all have of being here. Mm-hmm. So in his memory, I had to do something that really meant something, that we'd learned something. And most of all, to teach my children that the world is still full of magic and that they
Right.
can thrive. So ultimately, I'm all about being happier,
Yeah.
taking your life to being happier and thriving.
And the work that you do is absolutely phenomenal. So even very recently, you sent me some of these through the post. You've got some phenomenal workbooks and journals that people can work through. You can get them on the Amazon. Like, tell us a little bit more about that, some of the work that you actually do, because I mean, your story is just phenomenal. And those of you that are coming to be inspired will hear more about Claire's journey and Claire's systems and exactly how Claire works within Happian. I can't wait for Claire to be able to share that with you. We're going to be talking about actually the run up to Christmas very shortly, but I just want to tell people about these incredible journals and workbooks that you've created, because they're such a useful tool for people that are battling, right?
Yeah, so really so I've developed a Reconnect program. So the Recover program is more individual and tailored because people need to get to a place where they are stable, they have the tools and techniques to live each day and to get to that point of surviving. So the Reconnect program really comes in when you've got that level of stability, you're coping, but you need something more. And this is where personally, I found there was quite a gap in the market.
Yes.
I didn't get that support. So there is limited crisis support. I was really fortunate that my company supported me and I had people around me who could help me get the support that I needed, both for me and my children. So, but then I found I got to a place in my journey where it was like, well, you're okay. You can breathe in and out. You're getting up each day. The children are going to school. That's fine. But that wasn't enough for me. And it can quickly send you back. So the Reconnect program really is about getting back to who you are. So when you've experienced any kind of adversity and trauma, and I really want to emphasize, you don't have to have some great shattering trauma.
I think that's really important, Claire, to say that trauma is any significant change to your body or your trajectory. So anything that serves as a curveball to you, and it is completely subjective. So things can have a devastating effect on you even if they're considered smaller by someone else, and you can only judge the way that you deal with things on your own journey and through your own lens. You can't judge. Some people come to me from a public speaking perspective and go, I haven't got this like bombshell story. I can't drop the mic and have everybody crying. And that's not necessary in order for you to share. Someone's just said, I'm not quite sure who this is, but little T trauma. Sometimes it's like microaggressions, layer on layer, actually do the same thing. Than sometimes the smaller things are even more insidious. They become such a part of who you are that the disconnect creeps up on you and you don't realize. At least when something big happens, you're expected at some point to feel the fallout. But I think like consistent smaller things can layer up and create like quite a dense situation. Would you agree? I'm just shooting the breeze.
So one of the things that we don't realize is we talk more now about PTSD and the impact from that big T, if that's what you want to call it, large trauma impact. But what there is also is complex post-traumatic growth, complex PTSD. And that is where you have a significant series of things. So growing up in a household of domestic violence, it's a series of small things. Obviously they can be big as well, but it's the constant ongoing, that repetition that has the biggest effect. But as you said, it's subjective. It's about the individual. It's about the impact we have in our world. There are children who grow up in worlds that are dangerous. Every single day they experience carnage. And yet they are playing football and they are smiling and enjoying life as they can, because that's part of their environment. But if something that happened to one of those children that would be quite minor to them happened in the UK, that would be massive for them. because
Absolutely.
it's about your worldview, it's about what's important to you, and it's all
Mhm.
subjective.
100%. I get this sometimes when when I'm sharing my story. There are people that are sort of outside, or even people that are quite close. So I talk about so I experienced domestic abuse and I experienced homelessness. Now, homelessness for me wasn't street homelessness with my children. It was, I was sofa surfing. I had nowhere to live. I had no fixed abode. I was still homeless. But for some people, that's like, well, I wasn't homeless enough. Well, you weren't really homeless, were you, Dan? Well, no, I was. I didn't have a fixed address. If I didn't have a bank account, I wouldn't be able to get a bank account because I didn't have anywhere to live. And people often will project, onto other people. How homeless do you need to be? How traumatized do you need to be? How much of an adverse of a situation do you need in order for you to begin a healing process? And the answer is, it doesn't matter what level or stage or event or series of events have happened. Healing is an ongoing thing anyway. Our lives change course by the very nature of life. And I think the work that you do helps people navigate that much better than if there was to have nothing there. I don't know, Claire, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the key messages that I want to get through as well is that I told you about that background, how I grew up, but because, what did I really have to complain about? Because I had a great job, I had, the company car, all of those things that go with it. I had the house, I had an amazing husband, I had my beautiful children, but there was some issues with my own mental well-being, but I never prioritized it.
Right.
And I think it's quite devastating that I can genuinely say I gave myself permission to seek help, and other people gave me permission to seek help because my husband died.
Yeah.
I didn't
not before then.
Yeah, because it wouldn't have felt right to me. I didn't prioritize it. I had actually contacted the person who ended up counseling me through those times. I'd already been in a conversation with her before because I'd been to a relaxation workshop, which I could go to. I could go to something that was a well-being.
Pampery. Yeah, get the cucumbers out and the face mask out. That's okay.
That's okay. And I had a conversation going, I think I actually need to do some other work.
I don't feel very well. Like I'm completely disconnected and I think I need a bit of help, right?
But I never followed through on it because I would never
give myself
that priority. So the Reconnect program is really about providing people with tools and techniques that they can access, that they can try out. So they're all founded in positive psychology. So there's all scientific evidence to prove how they work. And it's about focusing on the positive, on your well-being. So positive psychology isn't just about happiness, it's about processing adversity, it's processing
the dark work as well as the light work, right? I think that sometimes when we talk about positive psychology, that it gets misconstrued as this like false positivity or this false PMA, or you've just got to have a good mindset method of teaching. It's not. It's understanding the processing of sitting with emotions as well as everything else, right?
Absolutely. So the program takes you through some of those, putting in the right place of boundaries, understanding your emotions, connecting what really is important to you. And where we've all experienced life, it doesn't need to be trauma.
Just life.
Just life. Every experience which we have shapes us, whether it's good or bad, it shapes us. But in response to that, we put layers onto who we are. And the Reconnect program is about stripping off some of those layers which we're not interested in having and getting back to that inner core who we are. And by stripping off those layers, it enables us to grow and really thrive and step into who we want to be. So
I love it. I love it. And when we first started exploring working together, you were telling me more about what it is that you do, the more I thought, oh my goodness, I cannot wait to get you on that Be Inspired stage and share even more of you with that fantastic audience in that room. Those of you that are getting your tickets to Be Inspired, you are in for a treat with Claire, because the stuff that she does is genuinely life-changing for the better. And whether it's that insidious stuff, that little T stuff, or whether it's the big stuff, everything that Claire shares is just absolutely phenomenal. And I believe, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this or not, but I'm going to anyway. So I believe you've been having conversations with Layla Doughty from Layla Please Tell My Story about some exciting collaborative situations happening over that side. Are you allowed to share anything, or are we allowed to just say that and then sow it as
I
a
think,
seed?
wow. Obviously with my experience of growing up, but overall of my experience of everything that I've seen, it's so fundamental to get the message out there that there is more to life, that you don't just need to survive, that you can thrive. So part of my mission on my journey is to give back. So Layla works with domestic violence victims and supports them, and she is part of the Fly Anyway Foundation, and
she's one of our business builders. As she's growing Layla Please Tell My Story, she's actually growing into having retreats and delivering therapeutic services, and she's going to be sort of the conduit for that. And you guys have been collaborating in the background and talking about how you guys can work together.
So next year we're scoping out now a retreat workshop that we're going to work together on.
Fantastic.
So that I can help her support these people with some of the things that I've talked about today.
Absolutely amazing. And I honestly, nothing makes me more happy than when members of this incredible community start to work together. They find synergy in the things that they do. So Jules Kelly and Claire Morton, for example, have a collaborative business that they've set up together in retreats. Like, I think it's absolutely delicious. The more that you guys get involved with the IATQB community, the more people that you'll meet, the more opportunities that you'll have for collaboration. I just think it's delicious. But Claire, actually, I've introduced you to everyone now. We've talked about what it is that you do. We've talked about some of the things that you've got coming up. You're speaking at Be Inspired. However, there's something more immediate that I know, and the reason why I've got you on the show today and not closer to the time of Be Inspired is because right now, for everybody watching right now, Claire has got something that's going to be happening in just the week and a bit's time that I know is going to change the way that you approach yourself in the run up to Christmas. Claire, tell us about it. What's popping? What are you doing?
Okay, so particularly as a lone parent, but even before, when I had the assistance of my gorgeous husband, Christmas time is really stressful. We take on all of that extra pressure, expectation. The kids are all doing end of term activities, nativity plays, all of that. And there's a whole load of pressure for us to turn up and show up as this perfect individuals who have
good mum,
baked the mince pies, made the Christmas pudding, done the Christmas cake, all of that stuff that, and have that perfect hospitable home ready at any time to host the greatest of parties with all home baked goods.
Does anybody else feel this? Like, put in the comments, does anybody put themselves under this kind of pressure, especially when times are a little bit hard and a little bit tight? It kind of feels worse because you get a lot of guilt that sits alongside that as well, right?
Yeah, huge amount of shame, huge number of feelings of judgment, of keeping up, and it just puts more and more pressure on us when we're taking on doing all of that extra. And especially now, especially when things are tighter, things are more difficult, and we're listening to a lot of doom and gloom. So and one of the things that really hits home for me is since losing my husband, and I went back to university and studied, and then with COVID I had 3 children to homeschool at the same time as studying, at the same time as launching my business. And I found myself, 4 o'clock in the morning, I've just finished doing an assignment or something, and then thinking, oh my goodness, I have to get that damn elf and find something exciting for them to do. So that
can we just talk about the elf on the shelf? You lot, come on, who's in it? Who does it? I'm in year 14 of this business now, and I am feeling the dread at this point. I think, do you know what? We were talking the other day about COVID elf and how much of a relief it was to just stick him in a little glass box and go, oh, we can't do anything. We don't want to get COVID.
That was the best thing about COVID, is putting that elf in there, sealing it up, and saying, well, they have to stay in there for 14 days. So that gave me a reprieve. It was like a Christmas present for myself.
To yourself.
Yeah.
So tell us about, what are you doing and what have you got that people can get involved with in the run up to Christmas? It's going to help alleviate some of this pressure for themselves.
Okay, so I'm going to be starting from the 1st of December, the Treat Yourself Challenge. So it's going to be the elf. We're going to bin the elf and we're going to treat yourself.
Oh, I love
You
Claire
obviously
that
don't
you've
have
given
to
us
actually bin
permission.
your elf, but
Don't
those
bin your elves.
you might want
Don't do
to.
it to the kids. But take some of the pressure off. So what's this involving? What is this about?
So every day you'll get a challenge. So they're all something, they take a few minutes to do something for yourself, challenge you to do something for yourself on that day, so that we can kind of maintain a focus about you, so your feelings, emotions are being heard, so that you can maintain that well-being through the Christmas period, so you can arrive on Christmas Day happy and smiley. So
instead of stressed out and frazzled, because that's kind of how I normally sort of skidding at the finish line, bottle of wine in my hand, hair all over the place, hoping to God that I've remembered everybody's presents and that I've done enough for the kids and all of that sort of stuff. So I am going to be actively participating in this. I'm going to be getting signed up to this. Is there a cost to take part? Is it how do we get involved?
it's all free. So I'll drop a
I'm
link
in. Hooray!
So it's happiercoach.com/treat yourself.
Yep.
So I'll put that link in so everyone can see. So you'll get a advent tracker, which I've got printed here. So I don't know if you can see that.
You tilt it that way. The other way. There we go.
So you've got a tracker, so you can keep track of that and count down how many challenges you've done. You will get a workbook delivered to your email, which will have each of the challenges in, and then space for you to write where those are required. So you'll put down your intentions, things like that. There was a dedicated Facebook group, so we can share and support each other on their journey. I'll be going live in that Facebook group on a weekly basis, checking in on your well-being. And there will also be some special prizes available for those who really get into the groove and set up doing their challenges.
Just think it's a delicious thing to offer, and thank you for doing this in the run up to Christmas, because I know I can't wait to get amongst it, because more than ever I'm feeling the pressure of everything. So to be affording myself a few minutes every day just for me to think about whatever it is that I need to think about. I have no inside track on the challenge, by the way, for anybody that's wondering. I don't know what's in the challenge. I don't know what's in the advent calendar of activities. But what I do know is I do know Claire, and I do know the way that she thinks and how meticulously she sets things up. And I know that it's going to be a real lovely journey. And I would implore as many of you that are watching along to come and get involved with me in the run up to Christmas, and Claire. So what's it called again?
It's happiercoach.com/treat yourself.
Treat yourself. I love it. Claire, thank you so much for joining us this morning. What we're going to do for everybody watching along, in the IATQB Hive, Claire's going to do a separate post. We're going to pin it so that you can find it and you can get yourself signed up. And we'll also pop the links across our socials and on my stories as well, so you can all get involved. Please do. I'm doing it too. I can't wait. Claire, thank you for putting this together. It is so necessary now more than ever. I know everyone's feeling a little bit frazzled, a little bit what the fuck. And I think it's high time we all did a little bit of something just for us. Claire, you're an angel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
All right. So that was Clare Deacon, everybody. You can find her at happiercoach.com. Well, we'll put the links on. If I said that wrong, I'm so sorry if I said that wrong, Claire. I will make sure that the proper links go everywhere so that you can come and get involved with Claire and me. I'm just doing it as well. I very, very rarely get involved with sort of online challenges and boot camps and stuff because things are so busy. But I think that this, particularly knowing how Claire works as I do, it's definitely something I need right now. So if it's something I need, I definitely know it's going to be something you lot need. So let's get involved. Let's do it together. Let's have a little bit of a hive self-care run up to Christmas this year. If you're down, I know I am. Right, my darlings, have a beautiful Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. I am not going to apologize for the photo dumps, for the silly stories, for the drunken lives that may happen over the next couple of days. I don't know, anything can happen. But thank you to everybody who has been so supportive of us over the last few months. Thank you for giving me a little bit of space to breathe over this next weekend and the couple of days next week. I am just going to press pause, take stock, go and enjoy myself, my family, my friends, and I cannot wait to see you on the flip side. So have a lovely weekend. I love you, and I'll see you next week for more Showing Up, Wising Up, and Rising Up. Take care.